Good evening, everyone. Have I
Yes.
unmuted? Can you guys hear me and see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And if you have any questions or like if you have any issues with the screen or anything, just message me in the chat or you can call me. Okay. I'm muting everyone. Okay, so let's start with the Selenium IDE. And before that, there are a couple of new joinees who have started today. So in the last class, like we covered like manual testing itself. So from today, like we wanted to start the automation. Okay, and there is a video which I'll share with you guys. So you can check that video for the like manual in case if you are interested in the manual testing, you can check those videos. Okay, and we also did a small introduction, like introduction to the automation, as well, like just the introduction, like what are the advantages of the automation also. So I'll share that video, and if you have any questions, like you can talk to me. Okay, and like today, like we'll start the Selenium. Okay, so even I covered this one also in the previous class, but like let me give a small introduction with the Selenium, and we'll start with the IDE. Okay, so let me open a notepad. Okay, so we saw the advantages. Okay, and a quick thing is like there are like two types of applications, like one is the web-based application and the Windows-based application. So any application, let's say if you are launching the browser, like if you are using a browser to launch that application, like we call that applications as the web-based applications. Okay, so anything, if you open a browser like Internet Explorer or a Firefox or a Chrome, to launch that application, like we call that as a web-based application. And any application, let's say if you're not using a browser and you are able to launch it without the help of a browser, then they are the Windows-based application. For example, this notepad, it's a Windows-based application. Excel, like it's an Windows-based application. Okay, so like Word document, so all these kinds of applications are the Windows-based applications. Okay, so and with the help of Selenium, like you can only test web-based applications. Like we will not be able to test the Windows-based applications. Okay, so that's a limitation with the Selenium. And Selenium, like it's a open source tool, like it's a free tool, and like companies don't need to pay to use that tool. Whereas like other tools like QTP, UFT, like those kinds of tools are paid tools, like they have to pay, but they also support web-based as well as the Windows-based application. But Selenium only supports web-based applications. Okay, and just to give a introduction of Selenium, see, it was first developed by a company called Sauce Labs. So let me click on this. Okay, so this is the first, like the Selenium has been introduced by a company called Sauce Labs. Okay, and back in like 2004, it was first developed. Okay, and it has a multiple, like it is suite of tools which you can use to automate the web browsers across multiple platforms. In the sense, like with the help of the Selenium, like you can test the application on different types of browsers. Like internet, it supports Internet Explorer, Firefox, Google Chrome, like Opera. There are many operating systems like browsers. So all these browsers Selenium supports. Not only browsers, like you can also use Selenium on different types of operating systems. In the sense, like you can test the application on Windows 8, Windows 7, Windows 10. Okay, all these kinds of operating systems you can use Selenium. Okay, and basically what this Selenium is, a kind of a framework which runs on the browser. Okay, so it's a framework which has been developed using which you can test the application in the browser. Okay, and can be used to automate the UI. In the sense, you can automate the application with the help of this Selenium. Okay, and can be used with many languages. In the sense, not like with the help of any of the language, like you can write Selenium. Like in Selenium, we can write the code in any of the languages like Java, Ruby, Python, C Sharp, like any, it supports any, all these kinds of languages. That means, like, let's say you can use any of these languages to write the code in Selenium. Okay, so we don't need to know each and every language. Any one language is also okay. If we know Java, we can write it in Java. Okay, if it is Ruby, like you can write in the code in Ruby. So it supports all the languages. But whereas other tools, like for example, let's say UFT or the QTP tool, like you can only do it on or use only VB scripting. You cannot use any other language there. Only VB scripting is supported. But with Selenium, like you can use any type of languages. Okay, and with the help of Selenium, see it you can test a web page. So same as how a manual tester, a user tests it. Okay, and we can also validate the checkpoints, in the sense we can verify the application, like in the application whether some objects are present or not. Let's say one of we have written manual test cases. In those test cases, what we have said, like let's say when you open a browser, there should, and launch the URL, let's say my company homepage should be displayed. So what we need to do, we need to write code to open that application and write and check whether that your homepage, or like in the homepage, whether a company logo is present or not. So all these things we can do with the help of this Selenium. Okay, and like I said, like nowadays a lot of companies are using Selenium. Okay, there are many tools in the market, but like most of the companies, they are now slowly gradually moving on to Selenium. Why is, first thing is it's an open source tool. Open source in the sense it's a free tool. Any company, like they can just download it and they can start using it. They don't need to pay to anyone to use Selenium. Okay, whereas other tools like UFT, QTP, like they need to pay to HP to use that tool. It's a license, like you need to get the license to start using it. But Selenium is a free tool, and it's a platform independent, in the sense with the help of Selenium, like you can test on Windows, Linux, Mac machine, or any other machines. Okay, all these kinds of operating systems. Whereas like QTP, UFT, the Windrunner, and all the other tools, maximum like you can use only on Windows itself. Okay, you need to have a UI, like you need to have Windows to use that tool. But with Selenium, you don't need to. You can test on any types of operating system. Okay, and like I said, it also support many languages like Java, C Sharp, Ruby, Python, like many languages are there using which you can write the code. Okay, so like with this, what's happening, like the companies, let's say if they have people who know Java, okay, so they don't need to hire new people. So what they can do, they can just use those people itself, like who are already there, and they can develop the automation. But with QTP, like they need to specifically have persons who know UF, like the VB scripting. Otherwise, they will not be able to use that tool. So they need to have people who are expertise in VB scripting. But with Selenium, they can have anyone, like Java people, C Sharp, Python. So anyone, they can do it. Okay. So these are the some of the reasons like why Selenium is being commonly used now rather than any other tools. Okay, so just to reiterate, like what is automation is, without, like let's say if the difference between the manual testing and the automation testing is, manually means a person will sit in front of the machine and he is going to execute the test cases. Okay, so he is going to manually test the application, whereas automation means a person, like we will write a code and that code will actually test the application. Okay, and we saw these are the different tools that you can use to do the automation, and one of them is the Selenium. Okay, and there are different components in Selenium. Like I said, Selenium has like multiple, it's a suite of different tools. Okay, so this is what the tools are. Like this is the main Selenium, and it has one tool called Selenium IDE. You have Selenium RC, like you have Selenium WebDriver, and finally Selenium Grade. Okay, so these are the four different components that are present as a part of Selenium. And now they merged this Selenium RC and Selenium WebDriver, and they merged into Selenium 2. Okay, so previously it was all these were different tools. and some of them have their own limitations and some of them had its own advantages, okay, which we'll see in detail each and every tool. Okay, but now like they merged this Selenium RC remote control and the WebDriver into Selenium 2. Okay, we'll see each and every component, like we'll see the IDE, RC, WebDriver, grid, as well as the Selenium 2 also. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Okay, so basically, like just to give an overview of what they are or what these tools are is, see the Selenium IDE, the first tool that we have, Selenium IDE, basically it's a like record and playback tool. Okay, so just some of the basic things we can do with the help of this Selenium IDE. Like if you have some task that you need to do multiple times, okay, without any big validations or anything, we can use this Selenium IDE. Okay, and basically this IDE is a record and playback tool and it cannot support large projects. Okay, so the IDE is very basic thing and very easy one as part of Selenium components. Okay, and like it doesn't support like large project. Let's say if you have a big application and you have lot of scripts, lot of testing that you need to do, then it's not a good idea to use Selenium IDE. Okay, and one of the disadvantage with the Selenium IDE is you can only use with the Firefox. Like you need to have Firefox browser to use Selenium IDE. Okay, it doesn't work with any other IDEs like Chrome or Internet Explorer or any other IDEs. You can only work with Firefox itself. Like you can write the code in Firefox and you need to execute, or you can only test in the Firefox itself. Okay, it does not support any other browsers. Okay, so to overcome that disadvantage, okay, what they have done was they created a new component called Selenium RC, which is Selenium remote control. So this is a tool which was released after Selenium IDE, and it has like some of the advantages, like whatever the disadvantages that we had or the limitations that we had with the IDE, they overcome with this Selenium RC. Okay, and this RC, like it supports multiple browsers, okay, and multiple operating systems also. Like multiple browsers in the sense, with the help of RC you can test in Firefox, Chrome, like Internet Explorer or any other types of browsers. Okay, and see, it works on any browser which supports JavaScript. Like JavaScript is a language which is used to develop the applications. Okay, and those applications like will be open in the browser. Like I said, web-based applications, you have to open a browser. Okay, so those browsers support the JavaScript. That means whichever the application that is built on Java can be opened in those browsers. Okay, so whichever the browser that supports the JavaScript can be tested with the help of Selenium RC. Okay, and there is one limitation with this RC. What it does is, okay, so what this RC does is it injects JavaScript into the browser. So whenever you are automating it, what this Selenium RC did was it injected a JavaScript into the browser. Okay, and you, with the help of that, it was able to recognize the objects in the application. Okay, and there were some browsers like Internet Explorer, like it did not allow the JavaScript injection. Okay, so there were issues like sometimes it used to not everything was able to be recognized in Internet Explorer. Okay, so it didn't allow the JavaScript injection, but Selenium, it only worked as because it was able to inject the JavaScript into the browser. Okay, as there were some issues, like that was one of the limitation of Selenium, or because it was injecting the JavaScript. And to overcome that problem, they came up with a new tool called Selenium WebDriver. Okay, so they started like a new tool called WebDriver. Okay, see, it was introduced to overcome the challenges faced by the remote control, like this Java injection, okay, JavaScript injection. And in this tool, the JavaScript injection has been completely removed. Okay, so Selenium WebDriver does not inject the JavaScript into the browser. Instead, it directly uses the browser. Okay, And it also, WebDriver also supports like multiple operating system, multiple browsers and different types of languages. So you can write code in any of the language that you want. Okay, and also it supports all the browsers like without any issue. Whatever the limitations that were there with the Selenium RC, they overcome in this WebDrivers. They handled everything in this WebDriver. And also with the Selenium RC, we had to have a server, like because you need to talk to a server to do the testing. Okay, but with WebDriver they remove that server concept, so they don't need a server. Like we'll see that what server is, how you start the server, like we'll see when we see the Selenium remote control, but that is has been removed in the WebDriver. Okay, and not only that, with the help of Selenium RC you cannot test iOS and the Android, in the sense like you cannot test the mobile devices. But with the help of this WebDriver, you can also test the iOS like operating systems like iPhones, iPads and Android, all the Android devices. Okay, it also supports all these kinds of Android phone and mobile and the iPad devices. Okay, and see, it directly interacts with the native browsers, like native code of the browsers, in the sense like Selenium RC was injecting a JavaScript, like it injects the JavaScripts into the browser and then recognizes the object. But Selenium WebDriver, it doesn't do that. It directly uses the code of the browsers itself. So it does not do inject anything. So there will be no security issues with the help of this WebDriver. Okay, so when we write the code, like I'll show you what it is, and separate classes for different browsers, because like Selenium WebDriver supports different browsers, like in the sense like you can test it on Internet Explorer, Firefox, Chrome or any of them, and every browser has a different class. Okay, like you can create that object and then use it. We'll see how to do that. Okay, and let's start with the Selenium IDE. So these were the just overview of all the types of the different components that we had. Okay, there is a grid also. We'll see like what that grid is. Okay, and let's start the Selenium IDE. Like I said, like this is a record and playback tool. Like it's the simplest, easiest and the simplest tool of the Selenium suite. So all the different tools that we have, IDE, RC and WebDriver, IDE, like Selenium IDE is the easiest one and the simplest tool that can be used to test the browsers. Okay, and it's a Firefox plugin, in the sense like you need to have a Firefox browser installed to use this Selenium IDE. Okay, and we don't need to do, or we don't need to know any programming knowledge to use this tool, because we don't write anything, like we don't write any programming here. All we do is it's just a record and playback tool. You can just record them and you can execute the code that has been recorded. Okay, and this does not support iterations and the conditional operations, in the sense, let's say if you have some code and you want to execute multiple times, okay, you cannot do that with the help of IDE. Means programmatically you cannot write a loop, okay, like you to execute multiple times. And you can also cannot do conditional operations, in the sense if something is happening in the application, do something else, like if loops, for loops. We cannot use all those kinds of loops here. Okay, we'll see them. And execution is very slow compared to Selenium RC and the WebDriver. Okay, so execution like with the IDE is very slow compared to this RC and the WebDriver. They are very fast and they execute very quickly. Okay, and also IDE does not support different browsers. Okay, you can only execute it on Firefox. Okay, only for it is supported, it supports only Firefox browser. Okay, and we'll see the IDE installation. Okay, so generally how you install the IDE is, first you have to install the Firefox. Okay, so I already installed my Firefox in my machine. So in case if you don't have the Firefox, like you can download the Firefox and you can install it. Okay, and once the Firefox is installed, like you need to go to Google. Actually I'll send the information like how to download and how to, for some of them like I already sent you guys. So, and for the new joinees, like I'll send you the link how, or the process, like a document on how to install the Firefox, as well as how to install the Selenium IDE. Okay, so once you install it, like you can go to Selenium IDE download. Just type Selenium IDE download. See, you will get the Selenium IDE add-ons for Firefox. Just click on this link and just click on this add to Firefox. Once you click on this add to Firefox, it will restart the browser. Okay, so it will install and it will restart the browser. Okay, and this IDE was developed by a person called Jason Huggins. So he's the first guy who developed this Selenium IDE. Okay, so let me go back to Google. So once you add that to the Firefox, it will install it and it will restart the Firefox. And once it restalls, once the tool has been installed, the plugin has been installed, see, you'll see an icon here like Selenium, like this is the Selenium IDE icon. Okay, in case if you don't see it here, like sometimes it doesn't display here, just go to menu and add-ons. Okay, not here, see menu, then options. Okay, yeah, like somewhere it will be, but generally like mostly it will display here for sure. Okay, in case if you have multiple objects here, then it might even display it in the list like this also. Okay, but somewhere it will be there for sure. Okay, so once it gets installed, see, click on this IDE. Okay, once you click on that, see, it will open a new window. Okay, let me change it. So it will open a new window, something like this. And let me close it again and I'll reopen. See, okay, see, this is how the window will be displayed. Okay, a new window will be displayed, and basically this is a record and playback tool. In the sense, whatever the actions that you want to perform in the application, you can record them. And what it does, when we are recording it, for each and every action that we perform in the application, is going to generate a code. Okay, so it generates a code, and when you execute that code, it is going to perform whatever that we did at the time of recording. That's what this record and playback tool is. Okay, and see, if you see a icon here, red icon, and when you select that one, see, it's saying now recording, click to stop recording. In the sense, the recording has been already started. Okay, and if you click on stop, like if you click on this, it will stop the record. It will stop the recording. See, the recording has been stopped. And if you again go hover over it, it will say click to record. So that means if you want to start the recording, by default when you open the IDE, it is recording. Okay, you can stop it and or you can do your process. And see, when I click this, it will start the recording. Okay, then I'll go into the application and launch the application. Let's say, see, there is a application called demoaut.com. Okay, it's a Mercury, it's like a flight purchase website. So you can use this website to write code. Okay, or you are for practicing it. It's demoaut.com. demoaut.com. Okay, and like let's say, see, and if you go back to the tool, okay, so nothing has been done. Okay, only the base URL, it updated it to demoaut.com. So now I'll go into the application and I'll do something. Let's say, see, I'll click on the register, and if I come to the browser or my application, see, it has generated the lines of code. It says open / click and wait, link equal to register. See what I did, I clicked on a link called register. So for that one, like it has generated a line of code. See, link equal to register, the name of that link, because it's a link object. Okay, and the method it used is the command is the click and wait. See, this is the command and this is the target. So this command on this link. Okay, so next I'll go and enter, say, let's say auto first. I'll go back to the tool. Okay. Oh, actually I selected the previous line, so that's why it selected it here. See, but see. So type because we entered some data into it. So type is the command that it is using it to say enter a value, and see the target is name equal to first name, the name of that object. Okay, so like I said, every object will have some properties. Okay, with the help of that properties itself, the application or the can understand from where the data is coming. So those properties will be used by this tool, because when you execute it, it needs to do the same thing what we did at the time of recording. So what it is doing is it's trying to get the properties of that object and try to write the code based on that. Okay, and like I said, every object will have some properties using which the application can understand what data is coming from where. Okay, because see, there are multiple links over here and there are multiple edit boxes over here, and when you click on the submit, what the application needs to do, like it needs to take this first name and store this data into the database, like some table and some location. So whatever that you enter in the last name, it needs to store in last name column. Whatever that you enter in the phone, it needs to store in the phone column. So how will the application know from where the data is coming is with the help of these properties. So what the developers will do is when they are developing the application, for each and every object, they will provide some properties. Okay, these properties the application uses it. So based on that properties itself, the application will know where the data is coming. So in the same way, what this tool also will do is based on these properties, like whenever we are recording and when we perform an action on that object, it takes those properties and it uses it in the target here. Okay, and based on what action that you perform on the application, it creates this command. See, command is type. So because we entered some text into it, so it's using a type command. And when you clicked it, see, it did a click and wait. Okay, and see, this is what the property is: name equal to first name. Okay, link equal to register. So these properties are given by the developers. Okay, see, when I type it in the last, see, last something tester, and if I go back, see, type, because it's a edit box, and the name equal to last name. And here in the value, you will have what is the value that you entered on that browser or in the application. Okay, type equal to last tester. And in the same way, see, if I enter the phone number, see, type, because it's again a edit box, name equal to phone, and what are the number that you entered there. Okay, and let's say, see, all the others are also edit boxes. So I'll select something from here. Let's say Thailand. This is a list box. And if you see here, see, this is the code that it got generated. So it says command is the select, because it's a list box and we selected one value from the values that are available in that list. So what it is doing, it is doing a command called select. Okay, and the name equal to country. The name of that object is country. Okay, and label equal to Thailand. So this is what we selected, Thailand. So let's say in case if you want to select something else, the value will change from Thailand to, let's say if you want to change, select United States. If it is a USA, then it will change label equal to USA. If it is some other country, it will have some other country name. Okay, so select name equal to country and this. So that's what, so based on the type of the object, these commands will change and the values will change. Okay, the same way, let's say, see, there is a submit. I'll click on the submit, which is again a image or some like element. See, click on wait, click and wait, name equal to register, the name of that object. See, it has been registered. So let me see, click on flights. So again, even this is a link, so it will be click and wait, link equal to flights. Then let's say I'll select one way. If you see here, see, click document.findFlight.trip type of 1. So it's taking the target based on whatever that value is. And then let's say I'll click on continue. I'll not do anything here. I'll just click on continue. I'm just trying to show you or trying to see how the code is getting generated for different types of objects. See, I'll select the checkbox. Like this is a checkbox object, ticketless travel. And if you see here, see, click name equal to ticketless travel. Okay, we clicked on it, so that's why it's taking the click method. So if you enter something, it will take the type method, and if you want to select from a list box, it will use the select method. And for all the other things, like based on what you do, click, whatever it is, like it will do that. Okay, and see, let me stop the recording. Okay, see, the recording has been stopped and the code got generated. Okay, and see, if I click, and like if you see at the bottom, there are 4 different tabs here. Like one is log, reference, UI element, and roll up. And if you see the log, see, this is where the log will be generated. So now we don't have any log because we haven't executed that code. Okay, so let's try to run this code and see. So now what we done was the recording. So we recorded our actions that we want to perform in the application. Okay, see, click on, and if you want to execute the whatever the code that we generated it, so you need to click on this play current test case. So the green icon, like you need to click on this green icon which will execute the test case that we just created. So click on save, sorry, run. So if you see in the background, it's executing all the code. Okay, see, it executed everything and it came into this page. And if you go to the log, see, you can see the log, whatever the log it has executed it, so you can see that. Oops. Okay, let me increase the size of it. See, playing test case untitled, like open, click, whatever it has done, see, everything is, it is doing it, and it says finally the test case is passed because it didn't have any issues executing that test case. So that's why it says the test case has been executed and it is passed. Okay, and this is how, like, you can record it and you can execute the actions or execute the code that has been generated based on the recording. And we can also save this. Let's say if you want to use this code multiple times, like we can save this, because once you click on close button, like the code will be gone. Okay, so in case if you want to use it in future, like we need to save this code, like whatever the code that got generated, like you can save it. So all we need to do is see file, click on save test case. So click on save, or you can also say Control S also. Okay, and go to a location where you want to store. CC drive, let's say Satish, then okay, and I'll create one folder here called scripts. And here I'll store it, saying that, let's say flights. Okay, so it's a flights. I'm giving the name as flights, or let's say flight registration. Okay, and click on save. See, this script got saved at that location, flight registration. Okay, and all we need to do is click on save button, or you can click on the file save and provide some path, and it will store the script in that location. Okay, and I can execute this code any number of times. See, again, if I click on the play current test case, see, if you go in the background, if you see it's executing everything. Okay, and again it is passed. And in case if you want to remove this log, see, click on this clear, which will clear the log. Okay, and if you see here, see, runs is 1, failures are 0. That means it executed, like you executed one test case and it got passed, and 0 failures. And if you see here, the icon is red, or sorry, green. That means the test case has been passed. Okay, so this is how, like, we can create a, like, whatever the actions that we want to perform on the application, we can record them and we can execute those actions with the help of this Selenium IDE. Okay, so far what we did, like we only entered some data and we were able to navigate from page to page by clicking on them, then enter some data into the object, select some data from a list box. Okay, so those kinds of things that we did. So all we did was a navigations itself. But what is the main target or purpose of automation is to do some verifications. Like we want to do some test. Okay, so in the testing what we do, we will verify something in the application. Okay, so if it is manually, we would manually go and check whether something is working correctly or not, whether some object is displayed properly or not. So the same thing we have to do with the automation also. So not just entering the data and navigating from page to page. We also need to do some verifications. For example, let's say, see, we clicked on this ticketless checkbox. Okay, and now we want to verify whether this address is present or not, or see whether this billing address is present or not. Okay, so whether this billing address text is present or not on that page. So there might be a test case saying that verify whether billing address is present or not, verify whether passenger's text is present or not, credit card is present or not, okay, and whether card type is present or not. So those kinds of verifications will be there. Okay, sign off is present or not, register, support, contact. So everything, like whatever that is there in the application, we might need to verify. Okay, so how to do that with the help of this IDE is, see, go into the application to check something, like to check whether some text is present or not. See, go into the application, select that text, we can just select it and right click and say show all available commands. Okay, and see there are different commands that you can do on that object. Okay, and if you see here, see there is something called as verify text, which is billing address. Okay, and if you see here, verify element present, that means what this verify element present will do is it will check whether that object is present or not. Okay, when you are executing it, if that object is present, it will pass it, and in case if that object is not present, then it will fail that verification. Okay, so all you need to do is we need to select the text that you want to verify, right click and select show all available commands, and then we need to go and select verify element present. Okay, so you click on this, and now if you go into the tool, see it generated the code for it, verify element present, and the target is like the path of that object or the property of that object. Okay, see, let's run this and see. I'll click on the run button, like play current test case, or I'll go to the log and we cleared everything. See, now I'll run it. Okay, now if you see the log here, see executing everything, and if you see here, see executing verify element present, and it's green. That means there is no issue. So all that whatever that it is expecting, that billing address text is present on that page, so that's why it passed. Okay, so what we can do is, see, like this is how it got passed, and if you see here, runs are 1, failures are 0. Okay, let's try to check the negative way, and let's try to fail that and see whether it's really verifying it or not. So what I'll do is I'll keep a pause here. See, generally what happens when you click on this run test case, play current test case, it will execute from first to the end of the code. Okay, but let's say in between you want to pause it, like you want to pause your execution. So what we can do is select that line of code, right click and say toggle breakpoint. Okay, so what this toggle breakpoint will do is it's like a breakpoint. It will come, the script will execute till there and it will pause at that location. Okay, see, if I click on the run, let me remove this log and I'll click on the run button. See, it executed till clicking on the ticketless travel here, okay, and it paused there. So to continue the execution, see, we can click on this resume button, okay. If not, like we can stop the execution also, okay. Or let's say what I'll do is, instead of this page, I'll click on some other page, home page. Okay, I'm wantedly moving it from one page to other page, and this text is not present on this page. So when I continue the execution, it should fail now. Okay, see resume, see it got failed. It says executing verify element and it is false. That means it was not able to find any object with this property. Okay, so because of that, like what's happening, it's not able to identify that object. So it's not identifying, so that means it is failed. Okay, so what this verify element will do is, whatever the object that you are trying to check, if that is present, it will pass the checkpoint. It's kind of a checkpoint. Okay, if it is present, it will pass it, and if it is not present, it will fail that verification. So this is what it is doing it. Okay, so what will happen is, like in few, like let's say when you create your script, let's say that objects are present, and when you are re-executing it, in case if those objects are not present, the test case will fail. So you are verifying it whether something is present or not in the application, like this. Okay, so this is what the verification is. Like if you want to check whether some element is present or not, you can do this. And we also saw how to put a breakpoint. And if you want to remove it, see, again select it and like select that line of code, right click and say toggle breakpoint. So it will remove that breakpoint. Okay, and see, if I run it again, let's remove the log and run it. Okay, see, now it passed because I didn't keep a breakpoint and move away from that page. So it was in the same page, so it verified it and it found that object and it passed the test case. See, runs are 1, failures are 0. Okay, so that's how you can verify whether an element is present or not. Okay, using this verify element. Okay, let's go to the next one, and let's say, see, that's a verify element, and let's select something else. See, show, I'll select that object, show all available commands. Okay, so that if that was a verify element present. In the same way, in case if you want to check whether the text is present or not in that page, okay, so you can also verify it, like with the help of this verified text. So this is verify element is present, like verify whether that object is present or not. And this one is to verify whether a building address text is present or not on that specific page. Okay, we can use this verified text. So select this, and if you see here, oh, actually our highlight was some other location, so that's why it did there. Okay, so we need to make sure we are in the last line wherever we want to enter it. Okay, see, now it says verify element present was previous one, now it is verified text, and this is the object and this is the text that is present. We are checking whether this building address text is present or not. See, let's run this. Okay, see, runs are 1, failures are 0, and if you see the log, see, everything is passed, test case is passed. That's a verified text. And in the same way, see, you have also, let's say you have some text here, see, you have the address here and you want to capture that address from the application. We can also do that. Okay, like you can retrieve the value from the application and get into the Selenium IDE. Okay, so with the verify, you can only check whether it is present or not. Okay, but let's say if you want to retrieve some value, like if you want to get something, whatever that is there in this address field to the Selenium, we can also do that. See, right click on this, show all available commands, and there is something called as, see, store element present, or I can say store. See, if you want to check, like store whether the element is present or not, that means if that element is present, it will store true. If the element is not present, it will store false. Okay, or like that is what the store element present name, store element present, okay, for that object. And let's say you also have something called as store text. So what the store text will do is, whatever that is there in that object, it will store that, sorry, store value. With the store value, whatever the text that is present in that field, in that edit box, that will be stored into the variable. See, store value, click on this and it will ask you to a variable, because we are retrieving something from the application. And to whenever you retrieve some value from the application, you need to store into some location, okay, or you need to store that into some value variable. Okay, that's what the variable is. Like, if variable can hold some prop values, okay, so variables can hold some values. So we are retrieving a value from the application, so you need to store that value into a variable. So it's asking you to give the name of the variable. Let's say I'll give it as address. Click OK. And once you come here to the tool, see, it says store value name equal to bill address 1, the property of that object, and into the column name address, okay, or the name that we created the variable called address. And in case if you want to display this address in the log, let's say if you are retrieving that value from the application, and that will be stored into a variable called address. And if you want to display that value, what we need to do is, see, in the command, like we need to write our own command now. So we don't need, like we can write our own command also. Okay, see, there is a command called echo. So what this echo will do is, it will display whatever that you want in the log table or in the logs. Okay, so see, now I'll do echo, and in the target, like what we need to give is dollar this address. Okay, dollar symbol, then we need to give semicolon, like open flower bracket, whatever the name of the variable, and the close flower bracket, which will display that value in the log. See, go to log, see, nothing is here, and I will run it now. Okay, and if you see here, see, echo in here on the tool in the log, echo 1325 some Borregas Avenue. So whatever that is there in the application here, see, it captured into the tool, and with the help of store value, it captured it and it stored into this variable address. And with the help of echo, we are able to display that value in the log table. See, echo 1325 Borges Avenue. And to this we can add some text also. If you want to add our own value, see, something like this, or address is something like this, dollar ampersand address. Okay, see, if I run this test case, see, now instead of just giving the address, see, it says address is 1325 Borges Avenue. So whatever that you give the text here, it can also add that text there. So to display it, you need to say dollar, open the flower bracket, address, and close the flower bracket, whatever the variable that you create. So first we need to use the store value to retrieve the value from the application and store into a variable, and you can use the echo method to display that value into the reference table or the log table. Okay, that's what the echo is. Okay, and you also have something called as assert. Like there is verify as well as there is something called as assert. Okay, what that assert is, like what the verify will do, it's going to just verify, and it's going to check whether that object is present or not. Okay, and what this one, like the assert, like if, and in case if it is present, it will just pass and go continue the execution. In case if it is fail, still what it will do, it will continue the execution. It will fail the test case and continue the execution. Okay, but whereas what the assert will do is, like in case if the verification is failed, then it will stop the execution. Okay, if it is pass, it will continue the execution. But in case if the verification that you are doing with the help of assert is failed, then it will stop the execution. Okay, so that's the difference between the verify and assert. If a verify fails, the code will, like the script will continue the execution. But if the assert fails, the script will stop. Okay, so that's what the difference between the verify and assert. Okay, see for example, let's say I want to check this, assert this delivery address. So what I'll do, right click, show all available commands. See, there is something called as assert text and assert element present. Same thing, verify text and verify element present. So if it is assert element present, it will check whether that element is present or not, whether that object is present or not. With assert text, it will check whether that text message is present or not. Okay, so let's say I'll say assert element present, and if I go back to this, okay, it says, see, it has generated the line of code, assert element present and the path of that object. Okay, and let's say after that I will have some other code to get, let's say, even the city. I want to get this city. So right click on the object, show all available commands and say store value. Okay, and the name of the variable city. Okay, and enter it. Okay, and if you see here, see store value name equal to del city city, and I want to display it, see echo, then city is dollar, open the flower bracket, name of the variable, close the bracket. Okay, so, and I'll keep a breakpoint at this verify element present. See, right click and toggle breakpoint, and also I'll have one more breakpoint here. See, toggle breakpoint, and then I will have one breakpoint here, toggle breakpoint. Okay, so I'm keeping a breakpoint as at verify element. Okay, and sorry, I'll keep it here also, and assert element. Okay, so I'm keeping it as verify element and assert element. Okay, so why I'll show you, like I want to show you the difference between the verify and the assert, so that's why I'm keeping a breakpoint there. See, play current test case. Okay, and it came and it is verifying for the element. So what I'll do is I'll go to some other page, like let's say flights page, where you don't have that text. So what will happen, see, I'll click on this run button. Okay, see, it highlighted it to like some pink color, stating that that step got failed. Okay, but still it's continuing the execution. It went into the verified text. See, what I'll do is, okay, let me continue. Okay, so again I'm going back to some other page. Okay, because we need to continue the execution. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll click on the run button. So it's still able to continue the execution. So it went into now assert element present. So here what I'll do, again I'll go into a different page, okay, where it does not have. So with the verify element, even if the verify element is failed, it continued the execution. But now see, the assert is going to fail, and after assert there are two other store value and echo lines of code also. But when now assert fails, see, click on run, see, it stopped there itself. It did not continue the execution. And if you see here, runs is 1, failures is 1. If you go to the log, see, you can see that the last two lines have not been executed. See, this got failed, this got failed, and test case is failed. And after assert, there are two lines, like which is store value and also displaying the city value. Okay, but those two didn't get executed. But verify element got failed, but still the execution got continued. Okay, so this is what the difference between the verify element and the assert text. If the verify element fails, it will still continue the execution. Okay, but if assert text fails, it will stop the execution there itself. Okay, so QTP, or sorry, the Selenium IDE will not continue the execution if the assert text fails. That's the difference between the asserts and the verify. Okay, and see, if I click on the run button, okay, so let's clear the log and let's remove all those breakpoints. So just for the verification to show you how it works, I kept a breakpoint. See, I can say clear all. Okay, let me remove it. Toggle breakpoint and toggle breakpoint like this. Okay, see, click on run, and if you see the log is clear, I'll run it. Okay, see, now everything is passed. It is able to capture the city, which is Sunnyvale, and address, you are able to capture it using the store text or the store value. So this is what we have in the Selenium IDE. So with this IDE, all we can do is we can record whatever the actions that you want to perform on the application, and you can execute them. Not just like navigating between the pages, you can also do some basic verifications with the help of verify and assert. Okay, and with the help of store value, we can capture the value of the application. Okay, or we can capture the value of an object from the application into the IDE tool. Okay, and not only that, like see, you have some more methods also in the IDE. Let's say I'll select the page, right click, say show available commands, see, assert title. So assert title in the sense you can verify the title of the page, which is see, book a flight, Mercury Tours. See, this is the title of the text or that page, book a flight, Mercury Tours, which is the title. So in case if you want to verify the title, we can also do that. Okay, even see, verify title is there, assert title is there. Okay, and like store title also is there. So in case if you want to store the title of that page, we can do this, store title. And we already saw store text and store element present. Okay, and verify element present, verify text. So all these are to do the verifications. Okay, so based on our requirement, either we can use a assert or we can use the verify text or verify like assert text. Okay, and one of the main limitation with the Selenium IDE is like we cannot do programming here. Okay, programming in the sense, let's say you want to execute this code 10 times. Okay, the same thing, like you, in case if you want to execute this same code 10 times, you have to run like click on run button, then execute once, then again once it completes you have to click on run button, it executes the second time. Okay, but you cannot schedule it, like you cannot say that write a loop or something, write some programming and say that execute this code like 10 times. Okay, we cannot do that in the IDE. And not only that, in case if you want to do some programming in the sense, let's say if this object is present, like I want to write something, not just pass or fail, you want to write some specific results, so we cannot do that. So just a basic thing we can do with the help of this IDE tool. Okay, we cannot do much what you call like programming or like much tweaks that we cannot do it to this IDE code. It's a basic thing that you can do. Okay, and like this, like you can see, this is one, we created one script. In the same way, let's say if you want to create one more, see file and say new test case. So this is one scenario that we created, like kind of one test case that we created to purchase a ticket or something like that, like to register a user and purchase a ticket. In the same way, in case if you want to create something else, see file and we have to click on new button, which will open a new window. Okay, and again you can click on record and start the recording. So you click to record and then do whatever the recording that you want to. Let's say you want to sign off of the application. Okay, or let's say we are on the home page, right? So click on home, then let's say click on contact, then back to home, then support, whatever that you want to do, register, then contact. Okay, you can create like one more script and you do what are the verifications that you want to on that page again, and see if you click on run, it'll execute it. See, okay, and we can also save this one. So all we need to do is save file and save test case and flight realization. Let's say I can say second script or something. Okay, it will save it. And in case if you want to execute everything one by one, we can also do that. See, let's say you want to execute two scripts, like let's say you created two scripts and you want to execute all your two scripts, like you want to execute the first script first, then you want to execute the second script. So all we need to do is, see, there is something called as play entire suite. Okay, so if you click on this play entire suite, whatever the test cases that you have here, it will execute all those test cases. So you click on run. Okay, see, everything got executed, but like see, two test cases got executed and there is one failure. And if you want to see what that failure is, see, we can come here and say, and it says element document.findFlight is not found. So this, it couldn't found this object, so that's why it got failed. Okay, so like that. So in this way, like we can create the test cases and like we can create multiple test cases and we can execute a suite also like this. Okay, and only some basic things can be done with the help of this Selenium IDE. Okay, and to overcome this disadvantages or the limitations of the Selenium IDE, like we got something called as Selenium RC. So this is what we can do with the IDE, nothing more than this. Okay, so with the now, once there are some limitations, they started this Selenium Selenium RC. Okay, so these are the different methods that we have, like IDE installation, which I'll send you a document, then how to record element present, like we can check whether an element is present as well as element is not present also. Okay, verify text present, text not present. So all these things can be done in the IDE, which we just saw. Okay, assert, store text, verifies text, and echo. Okay, so any questions, or is it clear, like Selenium IDE? Okay, so there is one question, like purpose of toggle break in Selenium IDE. Basically, like what the breakpoint does is it pauses the execution. Okay, so in case if you, let's say if you want to stop in between and you want to see what's happening in the code or how the code is getting executed, like you can use the toggle breakpoint. So with the IDE, I don't think like we can do much with it, but the debug, there is something called as debug. So debugging in the sense, in case whatever the code that you have written, if you want to check whether it is working correctly or not, okay, whether that code is executing correctly or not, okay, we can debug that code. We have to debug that code. Okay, and that, to do the debug, we'll use the toggle breakpoint. Okay, here with the IDE, it's not much. all you can do is you can just stop, okay, and play, like pause it, and you can continue the execution. But when we use a Selenium RC or Selenium WebDriver, like at that time we will write the code, like we'll write our own programming code. So in those cases we will use these breakpoints or the debug mode. Okay, I'll explain more about this in the RC, like in the when we do the remote control, and we use a different tool for that. Like there is a tool called Eclipse, and we'll use that Eclipse. Okay, so like in that Eclipse, like we will see how we can use the debug mode. Okay, I'll show that when we do the RC. Okay, and there is one more question. And when do we use assert and when do we use verify? Okay, so generally, let's say if you want to, in your test cases, it says that if you don't find that object, okay, you have to stop the execution. In the sense, let's say you are launching the browser and your home page itself is not getting displayed. So in those cases, what we need to do, if the home page itself is not displayed, you should not continue the execution. Okay, like for example, let's say you have a script, and in that code, like what you are doing is you are launching the application and you are verifying whether the home page is displayed or not, and then you click on something else, like let's say, okay, you want to check whether this home page is displayed or not. Once the home page is displayed, you want to click on register, okay, and do all your registration process. Okay, so at that time what we'll do, we should not use the, when you launch the browser and check for the home page, we should not use a verify there. We have to use the assert, because if that step fails, it should not continue the execution, because if the home page itself is not displayed, if when you open a URL, that means this application is not working. So in those kinds of scenarios, we have to use the assert. Okay, and in case if you don't want, let's say there are some situations where you are clicking on the register and you see this, you are verifying this register text. Let's say even if the text is present or text is not present, still you can continue the execution, but you have to fail that step. So for that you will do the verify. Okay, so any scenario based on which you have to think which is better. If you want to continue the execution, even if that step fails, we'll go with the verify. And if you don't want to continue the execution, then you will use the assert. Okay, and one more question. What is the, okay, UI reference element and the rollup? See, like if you see the tool, there are different tabs over here. One is log, reference, UI element, and rollup. So log, we know, like the log of the execution. And in the reference, what you will have is, let's say I'm selecting this line of code. Okay, see, click and wait, link equal to home, and it will give you the information about that method. See, method is click and wait, which is locator. Okay, and generated from click locator, and it says argument is an element, and what it does is clicks on a link, button, checkbox, or radio button. If the click action causes a new page to load, like link usually does, it uses wait for page to load. Okay, in the sense, see, this reference table has the information about the method that you are doing, like whatever the method that you are written the code, like it will have the information about it, like what that method does, a small reference of that method. So that's what the reference tab is. Okay, so it has the information about whatever the method that you are using it. And basically UI element will not have anything here. Okay, it's just like a blank one. And also roll up also, it does not have anything. I don't know why they gave, probably not sure, but only the log and reference will have the information, like element and rollup doesn't have anything there. Okay, so that's what the log and reference are. And one more question is, what is the use of the element? And when browser upgrades, can we use the save script? Will that work with error? Yes, even like see, we are storing these scripts at some location. Like when you give the save, like when you click on the save button, we are storing at some location. Okay, so they will be stored at that location. And next time when you want to open it, see, let's say file, I'll say close. And it says, would you like to save the test suite and one change test case? So it is asking you to do, like you just made some changes, do you want to save it? Just say save. Okay, and now it saved the test cases, plus it is also asking you to save it as a suite. So we can say yes, let's say flights, click on save. Okay, so it closed it. And let's say next time you open your browser, okay, and you want to launch your, again you want to use the same scripts, so click on this IDE, which will open the blank new. And if you want to reopen your script, go to file and say open. See, which will have all your flight registration, second script, as well as this is the flights. So select the flights, which will open your suite. See, okay, even if the browser, a new latest version of the, let's say you install a latest version of your Firefox, okay, but still it will work. Okay, like it supports the previous versions as well as the latest versions also. So there will not be any issues with the script, and we can just continue the click on run button, it will start executing it. See, like this. Okay, see, test case passed, test suite completed, 2 played and 1 failed. One of the verification got failed. See, here it is. Okay, somehow it's not able to recognize this element here. Okay, so basically, like, just try to practice, like try to install the Firefox and also try to install this Selenium IDE and try to record and play and see how the code is getting generated. Okay, so now we are recording it, but from next class onwards, like, we will not record it. Okay, we'll use the in the Selenium RC, what we'll do is we will write the code, so to do some actions in the application. Okay, see, if you see here, let's say if click and wait, link equal to home. Okay, so when you click on a link called home, it generated this line of code. So what you need to do is try to record it and different types of objects and see how the code is getting generated. Okay, for watch object, what code is getting generated. So for, let's say if you are clicking, see, it says click and wait. Okay, and if you are entering some data into a edit box, it will say type. If you are selecting something in a list box, it will say select. Okay, so you need to know all those methods, because in the next class, like, what we'll do is in the Selenium RC, like, we will write the code manually, like we have to write our code. Okay, and so because with the IDE itself you can do a recording, with the Selenium RC we cannot do recording, we have to write our own code, and we will use these methods in there. Okay, so try to practice, like try to install the browser Firefox as well as this IDE and record on different types of objects and see how the code is getting generated. Okay, and in the next class, like, we'll see how to use the Selenium RC and do more stuff. Whatever the limitations that we had with the IDE, we can overcome in with the help of the Selenium IDE, which we'll see in the next class. Okay, so next class will be on the Friday at 7 p.m. EST. And meanwhile, when you practice, if you have any questions, like, shoot me an email or you can call me anytime. Okay, so let's stop it for today, and like, we'll continue on Friday at 7 p.m. So our classes will be like Monday, Wednesday and Friday 7 p.m. Okay, bye for now.